while we're waiting for the live stream, is everyone okay? Perfect. 4.
Hey, Brian. I'm on too, but I don't know where my avatar is.
Perfect. I want to thank all of you for joining us here for ICONversations today. We have Kelly Jackson from Virginia, Heather Rodriguez from Arizona, Nikki Klein from Florida, Mike Giordano from British Columbia, and our amazing moderator all the way from Alberta, Canada is Adrienne Carlton. Adrienne, do you want to go ahead and take the show away?
I would love to. Thank you so much for that introduction. And I just want to first of all start by saying thank you to the icons for giving their time and sharing their playbook. This is the great thing about our company, is that we have a culture where people give back. And thank you to everyone for showing up and wanting to hear us. That is also an honor. So thank you so much, you guys. We're going to kick this off with the first question, which is just basically to introduce everyone to our panelists. So we're going to start with Mike. And my question for all of the panelists are, first, give us a quick 10-second elevator pitch of who you are, where you operate, and what you do. Take it away, Mike.
I'm in Victoria, British Columbia, in Canada. I operate with other people's best interests in mind before anything else. I love adding value, never attached to outcome or expectations.
Boom. I feel like I'm going to receive from that one right there. That was really good. Thank you, Mike. Okay, Nikki, how about you?
Hi, everyone. My name's Nikki Klein. I am in Boca Raton, Florida, South Florida. And I had a big team, but then I didn't, and then I did, and then I didn't. And so I'm one of those where I go up and down with whether I want to have a team or not. I'm a community builder. I have a Facebook group with over 32,000 people in it, which is where I get most of my leads from. I don't pay for any leads. So it's been pretty amazing to be part of the community and for them to see me as an authority in real estate.
Very cool, Nikki. Thank you so much. And I hope that we get to hear you dive in a little bit on how you created that group. So you'll have to fill us in on that. So thank you so much. Okay, Heather, how about yourself?
Good morning, everyone. My name's Heather Rodriguez. I'm in the Phoenix market, the Phoenix Metro. We focus a lot in the East Valley. I've been in this business for 6 years, at EXP for 2 years, and have a small team.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Heather. And last but not least, Kelly, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm Kelly Jackson. I'm licensed in DC, Maryland, Virginia, and Texas. I have a team in Houston, Texas, as well as a team in the DMV. I have been in real estate for 23 years. I specialize in working with military and government workers, as well as first-time sellers. And my specialty is relocating to new markets and starting up from scratch. Been with EXP for 2 years and two-time icon.
Amazing. Love it. Maybe I'll actually throw a little bit out there about myself as well. I'm an icon agent as well for the last few years. I started in real estate in 2016 and I joined EXP in 2017. I think I'm like agent 8,000 and something. Now we're at around 100,000 people. So love this company, love the connections we get to build. I also have a team, just me and myself and another agent, and we have, some admin support. And I used to be a breakdance instructor. That was how I built a lot of connections in my community. And now a lot of those past students and parents, they all use me as their realtor, which is super awesome. And I'd say one thing that has been my cornerstone is just trying to be myself and let that shine through in my business. So for example, just when I started my business and started really marketing myself out there, I would do breakdancing in my listing videos and stuff like that, just something to make myself stand out a little bit. So I would encourage anyone out there that feels like they have a little bit of a special flair to just let that light shine, and your tribe will be attracted to you. It's worked for me, so I'm sure it'll work for you as well. So, okay. Shifting gears. Thank you so much, everyone, for starting us off. We're going to dive in a little bit here. Could you guys elaborate on the strategies and practices and of what's facilitated your accomplishments And what was the time frame involved in achieving your current level of production? Sorry, I said that really choppy because I am reading from a piece of paper right now. So just tell us your strategies and what has helped you accomplish where you're at, and also how long it took you to get there. And we'll start with Mike. Sorry, guys. Mike, take it away.
Cool. So I'm grateful to be a realtor for the past decade, 9 years, EXP agent for 4 years, Icon agent for 4 years. My strategy is pretty straightforward. I've never been afraid to set a goal. I think that's the first and foremost important thing for me is knowing what I want, knowing and having something to work toward. I'm big believer of thinking from a place. So visualizing that goal having happened, having a specific goal, specific time frame, and things that I know that I will do to accomplish that. So that's something that's top of mind for me every day, something I journal every day and think about often, consciously and non-consciously, and my actions and thoughts take me to that part, to that place at some point. So that is one of my biggest strategies. I would say focusing on people who know, like, and trust me. If you're lucky enough to be in a community or have people around you that know who you are and how you operate as a human, those are really important places and people to focus business around. Length of time. I feel fortunate. I've had a lot of success from day one in real estate. That may come from confidence. It may come from leveraging previous experiences and previous occupations. I wasn't a break dancer, but boy, I sure did focus on things and skills that I had accumulated in my lifetime, career or not, and leverage those right off the hop. Focusing on strengths versus building on weaknesses are a huge part of why I've had success from day one.
That is so good. Well said. And just, I'm going to go off the cuff here and ask you, what's one of your big goals right now? Share with us.
Oh gosh, one of my big goals right now is to lead with love. That's my big goal right now, and that'll carry me anywhere I want to go.
Oh my gosh, that was so good. I feel like that's something everyone can do and everyone can walk away with and learn from. Thank you for saying that. Okay, let's take it over to Nikki.
Hi. So can you repeat the question?
Yes,
I'm a
you bet.
high D personality, so my attention is the ADHD. Go ahead, tell me the question.
I had the same problem when I was on the panel. I was like, oh my gosh, what was the question again? Okay, so can you elaborate on the strategies and practices that facilitated your accomplishments?
Yeah.
And what was kind of the time frame involved in achieving that?
Okay, so I've been in real estate for 10 years. 10 years in February, actually, which is wild. Time flies when you're having fun. My first year, I think I made like $3,000, but I worked as if I was making $3 million. And I just built relationships. It's all about building relationships and following up with people and leading from heart, like Mike was saying. Was it Mike? Yeah. So for me, it's been focusing on my community, not focusing on the outcome. That's what really works from my perspective. It's really leading. I think that what you'll find from a lot of these icon agents is that we lead from heart, which is what creates success, because you're not looking to gain something monetarily. That happens organically when you lead with your heart. So for me, the success has come when I have worked with my multi-million-dollar buyers the same exact way as I work with my $100,000 buyers and sellers, right? So yeah, that's what I would say has led to my success.
Very cool. Thank you so much. There's a good little theme going on here. Okay, Heather, can you fill us in? I'll just repeat the question in case you need that as well. Can you elaborate on your strategies and practices that have helped you to achieve your accomplishments, and roughly how long did that take you to get where you're at now?
Sure. So I have been in the business for 6 years, at EXP for 2. And I think some of the biggest or most important things that have led to success would be a consistency in branding. And when I say that, it's really a consistency in branding, not only your marketing materials, that type of thing, but branding who you are as a person. I think people can leverage social media as a way to connect with others, but sometimes you'll see people represent themselves in different ways. I think you kind of need to remain consistent about who you are as a person and as an agent. And when you do that, people can feel your sincerity and connect with you um, for the long haul. So that was one thing. Staying, excuse me, staying in front of our sphere, that's been really important. And just connecting with people. Um, it's not about real estate, it's about making those connections and having rapport and having them know that you sincerely are there to be a resource when they need you, whether it's just as a friend or as their realtor. Open houses are always a good thing too, just because you get to meet new people and develop new relationships. So I think really all of those things and just being true to yourself, like everyone else has said, being true to yourself and being consistent in putting that image out there in whatever you're doing is key.
Thanks, Heather. That's really good advice. Let's take it over to Kelly.
Yes, so this is my 23rd year, and first 6 months in real estate, I made $13,000. Next 6 months, I made 50,000, and my first full year after that, I made $250,000, and I haven't looked back. And I did that. So the first few months, those 6 months, I was running around with buyers. Of course, I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know how to qualify people. And so after that, I learned that sellers were the way to go. And so I really built my business on expireds and for sale by owners. That was who I focused on every single day of that first year that I made the $250,000. And they are still part of my business today. But I would say what's caused me to have the longevity that I've had over the years in different markets. I've worked in 5 different states, is to treat it like a business from day one. And so this was it. I didn't have a boat to get back on and go back to nursing. I did not want to go back to nursing. And so I followed a schedule and I was all in on real estate. I soaked up every single book. At the time, there were a whole lot of podcasts, but I read everything that I could get my hands on about the business, and I still do to this day. And so, and it really has been about adapting to change. In 2008, when the market crashed, I was able to adapt and I sold foreclosures for 8 years out of that. I sold short sales. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to be successful in the business, regardless of what's going on around me. And so that's been the big thing to date. I don't do foreclosures and short sales anymore, but today it's my database. I'm all in on uh, my database and really being a resource, whether I've met them or haven't met them, because I've been in my marketplace for 3 years, and it's like I've been here for 23 because I treat it as such.
I have to say, I respect your longevity, Kelly. That is amazing. And I'm just curious, when you made that 250,000, what year was that?
That was in 2002.
So back then, that was like making $1 million
It was
compared
like
to now,
making a
right? With
million.
inflation.
And it was way more than I had made in nursing administration. So it was a big shock, but it just shows you that if you believe you can do something, that you're already halfway there.
That's amazing. I bet your the ceiling was blown off your mind when that happened. I know when I made my first 100,000, I was like, "Oh my God, I can make $100,000? Like anything is possible."
It, it,
So it's
it
just funny,
was
hey?
that was such a big shock for me.
That is very cool. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, considering lead generation, what is your most impactful tool or process, and what amount of time and budget is dedicated to your lead generation, marketing, and advertising efforts? Mike, we'll start with you.
Ooh, fun one. I would say on an advice piece, if I could lead with that, know in your gut and your heart what you feel will be best for you prior to seeking advice from others. For me, lead generation again is starting with people who know, like, and trust me. Maybe I did business with them in a previous profession. I mean, when I started real estate, I called everyone that I did business with in the past, expressed gratitude, and told them how grateful I was to be their realtor. So they knew me, they know how I operated, and they trusted me and knew that I would do everything I could to look after their best interests in my new role. So that was a great starting place for me. As I helped many families over the years with real estate transactions, I'm never afraid to ask them who else needs to feel or would like to feel the same way they do, that they know, like, and trust. And I ask for introductions. With respect to marketing and media, whether it be social media, etc., I have zero expectations around that being a lead generation source for me. It can be a place where I'm vetted or seen, but it isn't a source of business for me. I do not work paid leads, and I typically don't pick up the telephone and call people. If I do speak with people who I do not know, like, and trust, I always try to start with that I'm there to honor a promise, and I'm promising somebody that I would talk to them about something specific that could be of value to them. Maybe it's around an open house. I'm here to honor a promise I made to my client, your neighbor. I promised them you'd be the first to know their home's coming up for sale. I hope this is of value to you. If you know anybody looking to get into this neighborhood, call me. That's my approach. It's comfortable. I don't have expectations on other people. I just try to set value in interactions that I have with others.
That is awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. Okay, let's go to Nikki. Do you need me to repeat the question, Nikki?
No, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so considering lead generation, what is your most impactful tool or process, and what amount of time and budget is dedicated to lead generation, marketing, and advertising efforts? And you've got that amazing group on Facebook, which costs you nothing. So that's
Yeah.
super exciting.
Well, it costs me time, which is more valuable to me than money. So it does, I put a lot of time and energy into it, which is my highest form of wealth. So, but with that, I get leads in return, right? So I don't pay anything monetarily, but I've created this most incredible culture for my area, my community, where people feel like they're part of a tribe. And to me, how does it get any better than that? I have people moving here from the area who don't know who the doctors are or what schools to go to. And so, my Facebook group provides all of that information to those people without being hit with sales. So because I'm the admin of the group and people see me posting frequently, they get to know, like, and trust me. And so whenever real estate pops up, I'm the obvious choice. So I highly recommend, if you haven't created a Facebook group for your area, to go ahead and do one.
Could you just share with us what the name of it is and what kind of group is it? Is it like a general chat group, or is there
It's
a
a mom's group.
specific?
It's a mom's group, and I don't allow any other realtors in. So I have 32,000 people who are kind of like my private database, with no realtors in there, which is kind of cool.
That is so smart. I love it.
Yeah, but I did start a Facebook group for local realtors with, like, I think we have 3,000 people in that one. So I did create a forum where realtors could connect.
Okay, and that's kind of a chat group as well.
It's a Facebook group.
Right. And is there a theme to it, or just like for realtors, anyone can go
For
on there and
realtors,
post?
talk about open houses, pocket listings, where do you get your signs from? What photographer do you use? Who are the inspectors in your area? So it's a great place for realtors to connect with each other too.
Nice. A resource group for realtors. That's amazing.
Mhm.
Okay, awesome. Kate, anything else you want to share in regards to leads or?
No, I mean, I've never really done the cold calling thing. That does not appeal to me at all. I'm kind of like Mike, where when my phone rings, I don't really reach out to people. I treat people the way that I want to be treated, and I personally don't like getting sales calls, so I don't do them. But I understand why people do it, because if you don't know anyone in the area, that seems like the most logical thing to do. But if it doesn't call to your heart, then follow what does, right? There are so many different ways to do lead gen, and sometimes we're conditioned to believe in the industry that you have to do it a certain way or you're not going to be successful. And hopefully the people who are on stage can show you that there are other ways. You don't have to do cold calls. You don't have to do expired. If it calls to you, then do it. But follow what works, what you think would work for you. See if you can find your own way instead of we're the main characters of our own story. So instead of following someone else's story, just be yours.
I love that. Well said. There's a million different lead generation tools and ideas out there, and they all work. And so you do got to find the thing that resonates with you so that when you do it, you enjoy it, because no one wants to live a life that they don't enjoy. So we got to figure out the things that we're actually going to like, because then we're going to do the things we like because we enjoy them. So I 100% agree with you. Okay, let's go to Heather.
I will start out by saying, because I think a lot of people think you have to buy leads. I've never bought leads, and I don't foresee that I will ever pay for leads in the future. That's just never been in my model. I allocate my budget towards really marketing to my sphere and marketing around listings. So we do a couple different things. We do a monthly mailing piece to our sphere. It's a consistent mailing piece that goes out every month. We do a weekly email to our sphere that goes out every Friday. And we do quarterly promotions or events for our sphere. Mother's Day, around Mother's Day, we have like a little flower campaign. We take those out to some of our past customers and stuff. We deliver those. At Christmas time, we do holiday wreaths and we do a Christmas event. So we do different things throughout the year, really, to just engage and connect with people. And then with regards to our listings, we put a lot of money into marketing those, calling around those, hosting open houses around those, and trying to maximize those and turn them into more leads.
That is awesome. It sounds like you're really hitting your sphere like in so many different ways throughout the year. It sounds awesome. I'm inspired. I need to do more of that, to be honest. Okay, so let's go to Kelly. How about yourself?
I would say from all over. But our pillars are definitely social media. So we do get a lot of online leads, Facebook leads, from Instagram, YouTube. So we do get leads through those. I don't pay. I've never paid Zillow, for example. So I don't spend a lot on online marketing to buy leads, but I do spend money on online marketing, if that makes sense, so that we actually market our properties as well. So we run ads for every single listing, and also email marketing is a big part of my business, and not just sending out these canned emails that come with your CRM, but actually putting some time and effort into it. We have videos going out. So, for example, if there's a new loan program that one of our lender partners has, there's going to be a video going out to our segmented database to tell those buyers who would benefit from that program and others, hey, we have this. Our lender has this great program. You ought to check it out or share it with a friend. So email marketing is huge in terms of my database. And I do call for sell by owners and expireds. I've formed some of the best relationships with people who are hand raisers, and especially if you're going to a new area or you're brand new in the business or you don't know a whole lot of people, then it's a great way. That and open houses is a great way to really get to know some people really, really quickly. And not just calling them and asking for business, but actually adding value and forming a relationship with them. So that may mean going out and previewing the property. That may mean bringing your buyers to the property. So not just making phone calls to people and harassing them, but actually assuming yourself into their real estate need.
That's
And,
awesome
and
advice. Thank you so
yeah, and
much. For everyone that's listening, like these are people that have been working at their business for years, implementing things, and it doesn't happen all at once. It takes time, and you get an idea, and you sometimes take a year to implement that and get it going solid, so that it's running like clockwork. So if you are at all listening to this and feeling like, oh, this is a lot, like, how do I be like them? I'm so far from that. Just take one step at a time and try and implement one thing at a time and get that rolling, and don't get overwhelmed by all the other stuff that you could and should be doing that you feel that you're not. So let's move on to the next question. And Mike, we'll start with you again. We're going to stick with this order because it's easiest for me. How often are you analyzing the return on investment of your time and what you spend your money on? And can you please share with us one thing you have ditched or adopted that had bad or good ROI?
Oh, baby. Analyzing time, how often, what am I spending money on, and what have I ditched, if I heard you correctly.
Yeah, basically. And at the end of the day, like, what's been productive for you and what have you let go of and what have you kept?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, certainly focusing on a daily or monthly or weekly basis around, the kind of 20/80 rule. And that is understanding that really 20% of what I do will yield 80% of the results. So making sure I don't have a gigantic to-do list. And if I do, circle the two things that I know are important to my business, and start with those. They may not be the easy ones. They may not be the fun ones, but they are the ones that are going to feed my family. With respect to expenses or money out, the big one, and you'll hear this from a lot of icons, is our time. Becomes precious and valuable because we're busy. We're all busy. I shouldn't qualify that. But certainly looking at other people with strengths, like administrative strengths, that I don't particularly feel is something I need to take on. So I definitely leverage people to help with administrative activities, with money. Social media isn't something that I enjoy. I don't enjoy consuming it, and I don't enjoy putting posts up and stuff. So I certainly spend money on having people help me with that. Ditched, baby. Being conscious of who is in my circle. So it's more of an energy ditch for me. Yeah. So, I mean, I did grow a very large team, and recognize that not everyone who is in this business wants to show up for themselves the same way I do. So I certainly have focused a lot on who's really serious about what they want, whether it's one transaction or 20. Are they showing up as somebody who wants to do one transaction? Or are they showing up otherwise? So, and the other thing I would say is just ditching the noise in this world, and in this industry. So being very conscious of what I consume and how much of it I consume, so that I can stay focused on what's important to me, and that is my feelings, my thoughts, my actions, which drive results.
Sounds like your head is in the game and you know that you need to actually protect the most precious asset, which is yourself. So, and not protect in the sense that, oh my gosh, I'm threatened, but You have an amazing mindset. So if I would be very conscious as well if I was you, of wanting to just keep my mindset on the right path.
Mhm. It's
So okay, let's take it over to Nikki. ROI, what's been working for you? What have you adopted that's worked out well, or what have you ditched that hasn't?
So I would kind of, I'm a little less PC than Mike, but for me, it's about people. There are some people who are energy suckers. They're like vampires. There are some people who are just takers, and then you have people who are just incredible givers. And you have to be really cognizant of who you allow in your world. And if they are not, if you see any red flags, you need to really pay attention to that. I think sometimes we oversee, especially when we're in desperation, we just overlook the red flags because we want somebody to help us so badly that we end up creating more of a mess than we did before we had that person in our world. So I think if you are not crazy busy right now, but you intend on having a larger business, then I would recommend starting to hire somebody before you get crazy busy so that you can build the foundation together. Even though you're putting the money out, sometimes we think to ourselves, oh my gosh, I don't want to pay this much money for somebody. I'm not making that much money. But you will make more money when you have the right people in place. So if you can think of the people that you're hiring as not an annual salary, but a weekly salary. I'm hiring this person for a week and I'm going to hire them for another week. I'm going to hire them for another week. I think that makes it a little more palatable when you're bringing people on board. And also, if it's not working out, very quickly part ways, because it can be so easy to have that attachment to having somebody that if it's not the right somebody, your business can really suffer from that.
Awesome. Thank you for that insight. I definitely agree and relate to a lot of that. Okay. Let's go to Heather.
Okay, so we're on the ROI question. I look at my return on investment of all of our spend, our income, and our expenses on a quarterly basis. And we really I try to evaluate what's working for us so we can put more money into that, and then what's not working, and we can kind of shift our budget in that way. Um, some of the things that we've found, obviously, in the past 18 months to 2 years is shifting our marketing dollars on things that will generate more listings. I mean, we always will and always do take care of buyers. However, buyers are a lot more difficult, as everyone knows right now, to get under contract and just for a lot of reasons. So we've shifted a lot of our dollars, like I said, into really focusing on listings, working around our listings. And the way that we do market to buyers is much less expensive. We're putting all our dollars into listings. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. Okay, you're in the States, right?
Me?
Yes.
Yes, I'm in Arizona. Uh-huh.
Okay, so I've heard the market's pretty rough out there, and we won't go too much into it, but in Canada right now, in Alberta, Edmonton, like our market is hot. It's popping. So how is it out there for you guys?
It's not terrible. We struggle because of inventory. So the inventory is a big challenge. Um, I wouldn't say the market's bad. It's just getting buyers to find the right home for them because there's not a ton to choose from. And that's really been the biggest challenge. So again, that's where listings become so important, because when we have listings in hand, the market's wonderful. It's great because they're selling. The listings are selling. It's just with the buyers, it's really hard to find them exactly what they want because of all the limitations and the lack of properties that are available.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. Okay, thank you. That was a little selfish question for myself that I just wanted to ask.
No. Good question.
Awesome. Okay, we will take it to Kelly. How about yourself?
I think in terms of the ROI on my time and money, we do look at that quarterly. We look at where our business is coming from, and you know, focus on the things that are working, but also at the same time giving things time. And so we realized that, like, let's say a Facebook ad, for example, a Facebook ad has a longer life cycle than maybe a lead that came from a referral of your sphere of influence, for example. And so those leads have to be nurtured. And so using our database, so I think in terms of leverage, our database is definitely a leverage tool because it helps us to stay in front of people sometimes for years that aren't quite ready to do business. Other thing is definitely having admin help. A lot of us talked about having teams, but that first hire, that first piece, has been admin help. Like that takes all of those 80% tasks that I think Mike talked about earlier. Because when we talk about the 80/20 rule, so that 80% of those tasks that are important, they've gone to someone else so that I could focus on meeting belly to belly with people, particularly sellers that are selling their house and negotiating contracts and those things that are critical to our bottom line and letting someone else do those things that are important but not critical. And even having showing support if you're, working with a lot of buyers and you don't have time to go, we utilize that. And so over the years, I've gotten rid of some lead sources uh, that were either too time consuming and weren't leading to our bottom line. We like to see these sources actually have a return. And so that's been the biggest thing. But I would say um, really doubling down on my database has had huge impact, and having things like client events and buyer seminars, seller seminars are really important to our business right now. So doing more things to attract sellers, like someone recently mentioned. And when you have listings, the buyers will come. So I think that's a big piece. And then as you get more listings, really bringing on buyers agents who can work with those buyers who have maybe a different personality. I'm high D, not the best person to work with your buyers. So having people that are better at it than I am.
That all sounds amazing. The client events are honestly like such a huge thing that I've seen work for some people. I have a friend who does client events and he gets everything sponsored by other like business partners. So
Hmm.
inspector, mortgage broker, car dealership, like pulls a whole bunch of people into it, barely spends any money, gets all these awesome prizes. And it's like really been successful for him. So definitely something to think about there. Okay, so let's go over to one of my favorite questions that I've been looking forward to hearing from you guys about is looking back on your real estate career. If you could go back knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently that would have made a positive effect on where you're at today? Let's start with Mike.
Ooh, what would I have done differently? I would have been really clear on my goals and did my best to recognize when ego was making decisions. I would certainly have focused a lot more on leading with the revenue, which really just means get out there and help people before you start spending a lot of money on your business. Make money and spend a little bit on whatever you think you need to, but it's not necessary to get rolling. Yeah, I think the ego piece was big, and that was just my experience around building a team. Full transparency, I think EXP does a great job of getting us excited about building teams when maybe it wasn't part of our business model before we started with EXP. There's just an opportunity for revenue and growth, and that's exciting to a lot of professionals. So I would say if growing a team is something that's important to you, seek counsel. And certainly when you do meet with somebody and interview them to work with them, remember that you're probably meeting them in the highest and best version of that person. And if it doesn't quite feel right, maybe pass with gratitude. And certainly when you are around other individuals in life, in business, and it doesn't feel right. You know, like the comment around, you know, maybe we're in desperation mode, or we're so caught up in our goal or our ego that we move forward knowing something doesn't feel quite right. Listen to your gut, listen to your intuition. Your non-physical teachers are telling you something. Your guides in spirit are definitely giving you an indication that might not be a good fit. So I think you get a pretty good idea of my philosophy and how I roll in life in general, but take that into your business. You know, be you in your business, and what's important to you, and how you steer and guide yourself, and let that incorporate in your business. It will help you.
Awesome, Mike. I feel like you're a wealth of knowledge from experience. You should write a book. I'm not even kidding. You got to write some of this down if you haven't started already.
Too kind. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Nikki, how about yourself?
Oh, Mike's like a spiritual gangster like me. I get it. I feel like
Seriously.
I'm like a vibration energy person too. So I speak his language. So I would, that's why everything he's been saying, I'm like, oh, that totally resonates with me, because I do business, you know, in a very similar way to him. I trust my gut. I used to not. I used to be much more in the ego and the shiny object syndrome, where something new would come on and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I have to do that. Or I would look at somebody on stage and be like, oh my gosh, they're so successful and they're so happy. I have got to do what they're doing, because then I'll be successful and happy. And then I would become successful and happy and not happy because I was following somebody else's dream and not mine. So I think it's really important to follow your gut, your intuition. And if something resonates with you, really sit with it and decide, is this the path that I want to take, or am I taking it because somebody else has had success with it? Right? That's what's really important, is to sit with yourself and ask yourself questions. I think a lot of times people look outside of themselves for the answers, but you really know if something's going to work for you. So it's really important that you listen to yourself and take the thoughts that come into your mind, and just, this is why meditation is so amazing, because it clears your head. It totally clears everything, so that you have this clear vessel to understand what the universe is trying to tell you. God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. It's really important to have a clear head so that you can know who you are without the noise and distractions outside of you. I don't know if I answered your question, but that just came through, so I had to say it.
That was perfection. I love it. Let me think. Did you answer the question? I want to make sure that you did, because I feel like everything you say is valuable. So let's just make sure we hit on this. If you could have done anything differently that would have made a different positive effect today. Yeah, that whole vibe.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, it's really getting out of your head and into your heart. That is the biggest thing that you can do when you first start in real estate. And there are so many things that you want to do, that you like, there are so many different avenues that you can take, and you get really unsure of which direction to go with, because you're dangled so many different options. That happened for me. Like, I was so overwhelmed. I was taught, like, I went to so many classes and I paid so much for different education and shiny objects and all the things. I wanted all the things. And what I recognized is that when I really sat with, what do I like to do instead of what should I do? Like, what are the things that bring me joy? Those are the things I want to focus on, because when you're doing things that bring you joy, it's that saying, like, it doesn't feel like a job at all. It doesn't feel like you're working. So for me, being around the community and just interacting with them, that brings me the most joy. When I see people, you know, having success from finding things that they were looking for, or meeting people that they didn't know they needed to meet, that brings me the most joy. And then I get rewarded. It just is the law of attraction. I get rewarded just by being a connector. So find what works for you and go with that.
Love it. Amazing advice. All right, let's go to Heather. Anything that I'll repeat the question. Looking back on your real estate career, if you could go back knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently that would have made a positive effect on where you are today?
I would have absolutely invested in hiring a TC more quickly. The first year I did real estate, I felt that in order for me to be a good realtor, I had to do everything myself. And as I began to get more busy, I would get caught up in having to do so much paperwork, it would take away from my time to prospect. So I was guilty of having the up and down flow of business, lots of business, no business, lots of business, no business. And once I decided I needed help and I was willing to delegate, I hired a TC, and that my business doubled like immediately because I was able to delegate the things that I don't like doing as much and put it in the hands of somebody who was really good at that. So as much as it might seem to be an expense, or to, you think when you're new, you're learning more about the business by doing all of your paperwork, it's really not the case. I think a TC is invaluable. And then as I started to continue to grow, hiring a marketing person and an admin, once I took that step, I saw my business double yet again. So trying to do everything by yourself is never a good solution. Your main role as a realtor should be being face to face with your clients, being there when they have questions, negotiating on their behalf, and having the mind space to be in front of them and be with them when you're with them. And if you can delegate some of those other administrative things, you free that time up and that space in your mind so you can be a better agent.
I 100% agree. I see some friends who do a ton of business and they're still doing all their own paperwork and like, well, it's just easier for me to just do it myself. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like hire this out. You're going to maximize even more. Like you're going to make more money, you're going to be less stressed, you're going to have more time for your family." But it seems like we kind of get locked into that mode of just being on the treadmill. So speaking to what someone said earlier about just hire it out sooner before you're maxed out. Don't let yourself get to that point where you're maxed out and then you're hiring because you'll barely have time to train someone. So I relate with you in that just seeing your business double after hiring like a transaction coordinator and assistant. So very cool. Thank you for sharing that. Let's go to Kelly.
Okay. And can you repeat the question one more time for me?
Yes, you bet. Sorry, I never repeat it for you, do I, Kelly? I repeat it for everyone else. Okay, how often are you Oh, not that question. Hang on. Looking back on your real estate career, if you could go back knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently that would have made a positive effect on where you're at today?
Oh my goodness, that's an easy one. I would have come to EXP sooner. Uh,
Oh, I love that.
I met Glenn probably about 7 years ago, and he was going around the country in a motorhome, and I didn't have enough information, and I made a decision, a quick one. Oh no, I'm not. I'm going to stay where I am. And so sometimes we like to stay in that comfort zone, and we could miss out on some opportunities. So I would have definitely, knowing what I know now, I would have came over that 7 years ago instead of 2 years ago, for sure.
That is amazing. I'm sure there's a lot of people that relate to that, and I've heard people say that before as well. So we're glad that you came. Better late than never, right? So at least you're here
That's
now.
true.
Awesome. Okay, so we're coming down to the near the end of the show. We could do a question and then also I wonder if there's any questions that the audience has. I mean, I've got some more questions I could ask, but it's kind of nice to be able to answer what people are wondering. So I'm reading Alfonso, as a newer agent, would you recommend joining a team in order to accelerate the education process and jumpstart your business launch? Um, does anyone want to grab that question? Anybody that wants to speak to that? Mike, did you
I
want
would
to?
love to. Yeah. I really wanted to touch on this in one fashion or another. And I guess the theme of my comment to answer would be, there are agents that are doing business, and those agents are letting opportunities slip through their fingers. And that's a great thing to leverage. So whether it's officially a team, or just a solo agent who is so focused on transactions and doesn't have time to do some of the other things that really help generate business. When you have a tangible opportunity that you can speak toward or add value around, like a listing that's coming, call it the open house, call it a buyer group that they have they're working with. But if you can go out with, this is something that, this is a need that I can help fill, and practice your conversation skills, practice your pitch, get better at identifying opportunities, everything else will happen. So yeah, I think being on a team is a good way to leverage opportunities that you don't have to find on your own, and to generate more opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you for that advice, Mike. Anybody else want to speak to that? Nikki, Heather, Kelly? How about Nikki? Did you want to go?
Yeah, I'll speak to that. I would say that when I first started, I didn't teams. Look, teams have always been a big thing, but I think that teams are more prevalent more recently than when I first started 10 years ago. It was like kind of people had teams, but it wasn't, I would have jumped on a team immediately, because being on a team does is it collapses time. You get to experience what it's like to be a productive agent when you're on a team. It's a form of education. So for me, the first couple of years, I thought of it as like a bachelor's or a master's degree, right? Like, don't go in thinking you're going to make $1 million, because 99% of people don't in their first couple of years in real estate. If they do, that's wonderful. But if you are open-minded to learning, then joining a team will help you get there faster. And you may love it. You may love being part of a team that you want to continue doing it. And if you don't, then guess what? We get to make choices in life, so you can leave the team and do your own thing. But go and learn, educate yourself by being with somebody who knows what they're doing. That's what I would do.
Love it. That is so awesome. It's good to hear everyone's little different take and insights on this. Let's go to Heather. What did you have to say about this topic?
Oops, I hit the microphone. I think joining a team will escalate your success. I think when I started on my own, I didn't want to join a team because I thought I had a lot of experience with regards to marketing and corporate and all those other things. And the reality is, I still bump my head in a lot of ways where being part of a team, I could have moved forward a lot faster. So I would recommend you, if you are thinking of joining a team, make sure that you interview several different team leads so that you can connect with the person and the team that's going to have an environment that's going to put you in a place of success, because everybody has a different way and you obviously have different needs and wants. So it's going to be important for you to not try to plug into a team that maybe doesn't align with your personality and what you want to achieve.
Yep, that's awesome. Very well said. Okay, Kelly, did you want to throw anything out there regarding teams and whether people should join them, not join them?
So, yes, I think that going into a team with the right mindset is important. Don't think that the team is going to be a crutch, but also an addition to your business. So going in to learn everything that you possibly can about, how to do contracts, how to structure your business, and be all in. If you're on a team, be all in. Don't think that I've had team members certainly who thought I'm going to queue up everything and have the buyer ready to go. And all they had to do was go open a door and they're going to buy the house. And certainly that sometimes happens. But when I say be a team player, like be willing to, we have morning huddle on our team. Everyone is expected to be on that huddle. We're strategizing for what we're going to get accomplished that day, and we're holding each other accountable. So when I say have a mindset of being a team player, don't just think that that team is just there to support you, which it is, but you've got to contribute. So whether it's questions on the huddle, whether it's hosting open houses for a fellow teammate, again, understanding that you're on a team and being a team player. And I think going in with that mindset is better than thinking, what can I get out of the team? But the people that I've seen thrive on teams came in with the mindset that I described.
That's awesome. So when you talk about your team huddle, do you do that every day or is that a once a week thing?
Every day, Monday through Friday. Both teams are on, so our Texas team as well as our DMV team. We're on that huddle at 8 a.m. sharp. Texas team for them is at 7 a.m. And they're on there faithfully Monday through Friday. And the huddle is really a value piece. And people who attend huddle versus those who don't, they're the top producers attend the huddle. So I'll say it does add value.
That is very cool. Okay, one more question for selfishly that I'm curious about for myself. For your huddle, do you guys, is it kind of a short and sweet thing or is it like a 1 or 2 hour meeting?
No, it's a half hour. Like today, we discussed videos that we're updating our videos in the database, and we discussed the videos that need to be made, like going directly to their clients. For example, we do a video showing, walking our clients through what it looks like to write a contract. So that's what we discussed today. So it's a value add, but we try to keep it at a half hour. And our admin staff is on there as well. So it really helps to create a culture around the team.
Yeah, I bet it really helps to gel everyone together. So that is so cool. It's so fun hearing about how everyone runs their business. We're basically wrapping up now, everyone. I just want to say thank you to all of the panelists for once again opening your playbook, sharing from your hearts, putting yourself out there. It's always a little awkward coming into the world because you're like, oh, is the sound going to work? And you're a little bit nervous. But once we start talking, it's so great and it's so comfortable. So thank you for showing up today, you guys. And being that it's International Women's Day, I'm going to leave everyone with a quote from the godmother herself, Maya Angelou. This is a little quote that I feel like is very much a cornerstone of my business. She says, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So, wishing you guys all an amazing day and that you will be able to go out there and make people feel amazing, make them feel loved, make them feel valued and just bless them because that is what life is all about. And like so many people have said today, you will get a return on that when you do that. And it's not why we do it, but it's an amazing result of just loving people. And I love all these little fireworks and balloons happening around us now. Yay. Okay, let's say goodbye, everyone. Let's get all of our icons to say bye and we'll take off from here. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Awesome. I just want to thank all of you for coming
Bye.
today. This was an amazing panel, Adrienne. Yay. All right. And if
Yay.
you're watching this out there on YouTube, smash that like button. We're here every Friday at 8:45 Pacific time. See you next week. Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye.